car to me should be something that you enjoy looking at, driving. It's something that you can get enjoyment out of by not going anywhere. And I can take this car and drive it for 20 minutes and I feel like my mind wanders and it's a great experience. My name's Steve Bolton, and I drive a 1977 Ferrari 308 GTB. Ferrari, I feel, is maybe the last brand that you can buy a car and no one says which one. My first early memory of being really impressed by a car was, of course, through television, as most of us young children are. And that would have been through, of course, Magnum, seeing the Ferrari. And that's one thing I'll always remember, being a little kid watching with my brother. And so the dream was to one day own one. I ended up getting in a car accident and totaling my vintage Porsche that I loved, and had the opportunity to go on the search for the dream car. The truck drives up and it's in a container by itself with like windows so you can see it, and it lifts up and it's a big dramatic moment, and then it rolls out and stalls. But it was a big, huge moment that I'll always remember for sure. You can't go anywhere in a hurry. It's not a fast car, which is what's interesting. You got to take your time. You can't rush it to do anything. You're not jumping into it and taking right off. My particular car is more of a driver. It's not perfect. It sits outside. It gets dirty. So when people see that, they're a little bit more like, oh, okay, you're driving it, that's fun, and you enjoy it. It was totally different than I imagined. People would think, oh, it's gonna be uncomfortable, it's gonna be a nuisance or difficult, and it was amazing. The sound the shifter makes, the sound the whole car makes. It's an early one. Everybody loves it, and driving it, the noise, and it's amazing. It's everything I imagined it would be. I think for me, it takes me back to, it's easier to appreciate the car coming from the time period that it was. It's 1977. You put on the right music and you're driving through the canyons or driving on PCH, that it, you feel like you're in the opening of a 70s detective show. So my background is in advertising, but before that I was a cartoonist for the newspaper. So having it appeal visually is important to me. And I enjoy the lines of the car and how it looks, how it sits. I love looking at it. When I park it somewhere, I do turn around and look at it when you go away. Every little curve on it is amazing. As far as hunting for the right perfect car, you could talk to 10 people and they'd have 20 different answers. Very few people actually had them to say, oh, stay away from this one. And everybody had their recommendations, but generally the early cars was what everybody recommended for the more Ferrari feel, because they would have a carbureted car as opposed to fuel injection, which was later on. So there's nothing digital. It's very simple. There's no radio, there's no air conditioning. The most electric part of it is probably the windows, and those work when they decide to. And so it's very sparse. There's nothing practical about the car whatsoever. Anything you put in the trunk will be superheated to, 300 degrees and smell like gasoline by the time you get home. There isn't much. You're not plugging your iPhone in anywhere. You're not putting the seat warmers on. It's just very basic, everything that you need just to drive. The car is so loud you can barely have a conversation. It's a very selfish car to drive. That person in the passenger seat isn't having a good time. It's so low. Unfortunately, I don't do any of the work on my own car. That's probably going to get me vilified. One of my favorite stories was when I first got the car, the windshield wipers weren't working or needed to be replaced. And I called somebody who was working on the car at the time, and I said, I need windshield wiper blades. And he was like, I don't have any of those. What do you need those for? And I was like, it's raining. And he goes, are you driving the Ferrari in the rain? And I was like, yeah, and they don't work. He was like, you're gonna have to special order those. He goes, I don't have any customers that drive their Ferrari in the rain. It's closer to art than transportation for me. So having, if things go wrong, that's just kind of part of the story. But it has been, knock on wood, very reliable to this point. It hasn't let me down. I don't know if it's a relationship. Maybe sometimes it feels like that. But I plan on keeping the car forever.